started.
Chego. Chego from the US. Okay, starts with c4. We got an English opening. Let's play one of those symmetric 4 knights type positions. See if I can get the feel of it. Okay, more pressure on the light squares. In the English opening series, I mostly looked at the knight moves, but the early fianchetto, the bishop, has become more popular recently too. So I will look at that later on in the series. So I can, well, I'm going to fianchetto my bishop here anyway. Might as well allow for it. So I put my knights out, get my bishop on a good square, and I'm surprised he didn't play d4 right away. He could have just played that. What kind of setup do I want? I could continue with d6 and e5 and get a reverse Botvinnik triangle here. Maybe that's good. It does lock in this bishop, but it would stop him from playing d4, and it would stop his knight from coming to f4. Let's do that. And then castle. Maybe bishop e6. Ask him how he's going to defend the c-pawn. Yes, he can come in here. So that keep my bishop out of e6. I want to disallow that, so I'm going to kick the knight. I want my bishop to be able to go to e6. Okay, and now he's putting pressure on e6 here. Let's trade one pair of knights. That will eliminate reduce the amount of pressure he's able to bring to bear on e6. This bishop can't attack e6, only the knight. And at some point I could even consider pushing on with d5. d6 is the weak square I was talking about. How much pressure he can bring to bear on d6. His bishop is not going to be able to get in there. Okay, so he supported that. Now, I could continue with the kingside play expansion with f5. It looks like that might be a good idea here. Okay, now his knight can hop into d5 there. Maybe I should play f4 right away. f4, pawn takes, pawn takes. I have a discovery on the king. No, I don't have a discovery on the king. I need to, okay, let's lift up my queen and bring a rook over to the e file, and then I'll consider pushing f5 here. And my plan is just to leave his knight there and just kind of work around it. We'll see if I can get away with this. The squares he can come to are these dark squares here, so right now they're under my control. The bishop there might be a problem, but the knight can take that. I get my king over here. Now f5 here, or maybe he's going to castle queenside. No, he's not castling queenside. Okay, he's preparing to play b4. So if I play f5 here, f4, pawn takes, knight takes is a problem, because I want to open up the e file here and get a discovery. So yeah, I want him to have to take with the with the e pawn eventually. So if he just takes with the g pawn, it doesn't open up any dangerous diagonals, so, or lines. So should I? Yeah, I'm going to push on here. If he pushes ahead with b5, I move the knight around this way, maybe. And or even here, directly challenging his knight. Back here, supports the b pawn. And I don't want him to be able to move this knight with tempo. And now I'm thinking of opening things up over here. Well, this diagonal here maybe is a bit dangerous for me. He's got a pawn move with check. Bishop here. Then he can do the other pawn move. Didn't play that. Okay, well I have some interesting choices here. I can play f3, and his bishop has to go to f1. I can take. And then go queen to f7 here. Yeah, that defends f7. So I'm going to get my king. I'm going to get my king off of this light squared diagonal so he doesn't have this idea of e3 check anymore. Okay, let's see. How do I want to close this up? Maybe this way. Anyway, yeah, it's my idea to close the queen side so he doesn't have attacking chances over there. So if he wants to keep his game alive, he should probably take. And then I'll move this knight out of the way and bring a rook over. But if he closes it up like that, well, now I have a good square for my knight again. The knight can hop into this square even, looking very good. And from there it can go to here. So this was probably a mistake. He probably needed to take and open up a line here. I would still get this square for my knight, but he would get some counterplay here. I would get a rook on the b file. Hard to say. So he's going after this rook. If I go here to hit his queen, he can trade first and then take the rook. So let's double rooks like this. So he decided to go that way. So now knight here hitting the queen. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and then he can take on b7, which is a bit annoying actually. Well, I grab a pawn here. Not a grand attacking plan, but maybe it's something worthwhile. I just don't like the idea of bishop takes b7 there because his pawn is so close to becoming a queen. It's a bit dangerous.
Server announcement.
Now what next? Rook to f7. Pawn to, well, maybe just bishop to h3. Okay, so he's gotten annoyed and has decided to sacrifice something over here. Maybe. I don't really see it myself.
Check.
Oh yeah, so he's getting the bishop into the game. That's good. I've been wanting to get rid of that bishop for a while. Question is, how is he going to take back? He could take back with the knight or the pawn. Okay, the knight. So now he's got some influence on these squares, but let's bring this knight over and see if I can chase his pieces away now. His knight, where can it go? I can go back there. Not the greatest square. Okay, so rook here. Where does the queen go? On this diagonal, I've got it covered. Sorry. It could go here. It could go back. Knight to g6 there would hit the queen if it goes to these squares. So it went all the way there. So I'm thinking, let's bring the other rook into the game. Rook to h6. Drive the queen into a corner. And then bring my knight in somehow. Now the queen could go to g5 still. Okay, let's think about this. Do I have time to think? Yes, I have time to think. Okay, so knight, some knight move. Maybe rook here to prepare some kind of knight move. Because knight to g3 to f4 or knight to g6 to f4 or h4 would be interesting. Can still play knight to f4. Knight to f4, queen to h6. Threatening something like mate over there. Because the knight on f4, if he takes with the rook, I take with the pawn, and he can't take with the pawn, or I'll take the queen. Well, he could. That'd be a queen for a rook and knight. But probably not good. Okay. What could he do? He could just do a pawn move. Like pawn to h4. Oh, queen there. But that allows queen to h6. But after queen to h6, he could just bring his queen back. So I'm going to play knight f4 first and see how he reacts to that. He still can't take because the pawn is pinned against the king. And the queen now can't go back to g2, so queen h6 looks like a serious threat. But once again, it all depends on what he plays, this move. He maybe could just defeat all of this with a pawn move. He decides to sack the exchange. So where's the check from the queen? Here. Check from the knight? No. No way to get to this diagonal. So I want to play queen to h6, because if he takes the rook, it's still just checkmate. So that's why I was looking for all the ways he might check my king, because I don't see any other way of stopping the checkmate. He can move his rook away. That's what he has to do to give his king an escape square. So rook away, queen here check, king f1, queen here check, king to or e2. Then rook here check.
Check. Check.
Oh, let's think about this. Let's see, if he takes my rook with his queen. Oh, I take his rook with my queen, and then I take the queen. So that would leave me a rook up.
Check.
And if he moves the king, then I'll just grab this rook. Everything else is protected. Yeah, so that's what I have to do. I have to take his rook. And then I can take the queen, and I'm a rook up. So let's see. He's got a couple pieces, a couple pawns rather. I have to be respectful of that, but let's see. What's the simplest way to win here? Get my king into the game so these pawns don't cause too much trouble. Right, defending the pawn. Yeah, it's a bit tricky fighting against pawns with a bishop and a rook. So he's got a check here. If I go king here, you could sack a pawn and then play check here and win the exchange, but I'd still be a piece up. Yeah, so that was probably the best way to play it. I wonder, maybe the rook should just get behind. Check from behind. Common strategy, and I should just use the bishop and the king to stop these pawns. Use the rook to support this pawn. Yeah, I can start pushing this pawn. That's what I can do too. I have a passed pawn. I should use it. Use my pieces to harass his king and slow the pawns down. Okay. So rook behind. Now I have checks that I can deliver at least. One, two, three, four, five. 5 moves to get there, and the knight can come over to. Is actually not easy for the knight to get over and stop it because these squares are covered. The king goes in front to avoid the checks, but with the king in front, the pawns can't advance. So that was probably a mistake. Okay, what's he going to do? Yeah, he's just going to go back. I'm going to keep pushing this pawn. And he's going to, I'm going to keep pushing. He's going to push on with the check, right?
Check.
And my idea was to go to this square where there's no check from the knight and where the bishop can take the pawn if it advances. And he's got some idea. Maybe check here. I don't quite see it. Let's push the pawn. Get a queen. That surely must be good. So I've set up this kind of blockade I want with the bishop is blockading the dark squares. So let's
check.
Give one check to force the king back. Just to not make it too easy for him. And let's get a queen here.
White resigns.
Okay, good game. I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm going to upload this and do a postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.